So without further ado, Mr. Angel. Jonathan.
That's my nickname, Jonathan. Thanks, Luis. I almost made me cry. I was trying. Well, my name is Angel Santiago, and I've become a life coach and a spiritual coach. It's mostly like a transformational, coach, transformational speaker, inspirational speaker. I'm definitely beyond passionate. It's not a passion. It's a purpose. It's a life mission thing. But it did start with a passion. Like Louis said, passion is one of the first keys. And it did start with a passion, but my passion was not that. It was dance. And it was dance, and I danced since I was 19. I'm going to be 37 now. And I stopped when I was 34. But it did start with something I love. And it became something I was good at. And then it became something I got paid for. And then it became something that was impacting lives. Because those people that were coming to learn dance, their lives were getting better, And then 2014, I had to ask myself a question. Is this really what I want to keep doing? Is this really where I want to be in life? And I went through all my dance videos and the things that I did, and I kind of broke down what does it mean to dance for me. And I looked at that guy on stage, and I'm like, that guy, he's good, but he doesn't inspire me to dance. And I looked at the social dancing element, or part of dancing in my career, and you go to the dance floor to dance, and I was like, half the time I wanted to go back to the hotel room, and go to sleep. And then the other aspect was the teaching aspect. And I was like, I wanted to see where did I get lit up from the inside? And so when I looked at the teaching side, that's when I got lit up. That's when Angel really showed up. When people were having those aha moments, they were like, I've been doing it this way, but that just made it easier. I wanted to simplify things for people so that they can really achieve, And then I asked, well, if it's teaching, then I can teach anything, right? And what better to teach someone than to find themselves, than to find their truth, than to find meaning and purpose for what's going on in their lives. But number one, I had to do that to myself first, right? So that's kind of why I am where I am today. And I want to tell you a quick story. So there was a pilgrim father and a boy who visited a mall for the first time. And they were amazed by everything they were seeing. The stores, the flashiness, the people, technology, all kinds of different things that are in malls. But the one thing that really impacted them the most, they were just like, wow. It was these walls that would open and close. They were kind of the silver walls that would open and close. And they were like, the son was like, Father, what is this? And I was like, son, I've never seen anything like this before in my life. And then behind them came an old lady in a wheelchair, and she pushed this button on the wall. The doors opened, and the lady went into this room behind this walls that opened and closed, and went up, and they could see like the circle lights that were going up and down, side to side, right? And then they saw the lights coming back down. And then a beautiful 24-year-old woman shows up through that room, and the son is like, son, go get your mother. And I tell you that story because it's kind of like a miracle transformation. In their eyes, it was like this miraculous transformation. And I tell you that because my talk today, what I want to share with you today is freedom from yourself. And the reason I call it freedom from yourself, because transformation is freedom. A lot of the things that the fellow speakers and friends of mine that share today deal with a lot of the mind stuff. And a lot of them had to do things that they weren't comfortable doing to accomplish the things they wanted to do. So before we go into freedom from yourself, what does it mean to be free? When I think of being free, I immediately think about not being in prison, not being enslaved, not being hindered in any way. When I think about being free, I think about the freedom to be who I am. Genuinely and authentic being who I am. Without any restraints, my freedom to speak, my freedom to think, my freedom to act. And that's when I think about freedom. Before we go into answer more of that question, explore that topic further, I want to talk about, there's two perspectives that I want to talk about. And it has to do with what Jody was saying about being and doing. There's a Chinese philosopher, Lao Tzu, who says the only way to do is to be. The only way to do is to be. You have to be first, right? Anything you're going to do needs to come from your beingness. Okay? So those two perspectives, being and doing, being and doing. There's another spiritual teacher that says, life is about a balance between do and be. You got to do, be, do, be, do. Do and be, do and be. Now, the first perspective is that we're human beings looking for moments of spiritual connection, or in search of a spiritual awakening of some sort. Okay? The other perspective is that we're spiritual, divine, eternal beings dealing or coping with a temporary human experience, or dealing with a temporary human awakening. First one, human beings looking for moments of spiritual connection or spiritual awakening. Second one, spiritual beings dealing with a temporary human awakening. Okay? Being and doing. Now, whatever perspective you believe today in your life, or you choose to believe, that's going to give you a certain experience in life. Okay? Neither one is any less true than the other one. They're both true. It's just that one of them contains with it a bigger truth. Kind of like what Jody was saying. There was something there that's bigger than she was, that was kind of guiding her through life. Okay? One of them, it's like, I call it the way of the personality, the way of the ego, the physical part. The other one is the one of the spirituality, your spirit, your soul. Okay? Whichever one you do. If you believe only one, that you're just a human being hoping to connect spiritually or have a spiritual awakening, then you're going to have an experience. And it's going to be a difficult one, a struggling one. But if you believe that you're a spiritual being having a temporary human experience, then you may go with the flow better. Okay? Now, as we go through that, okay, that perspective, what the body, our body, they say the body is the vessel, right? The body is the vessel for our soul, for our spirit, whatever you want to call it, for God, depending on your perspective, depending on your faith. The body is the physical part. Okay? If the body is the vessel for my truth, then that means everything that happens in the physical world, it's also a vessel. Everything happening in my physical reality, it's also a vessel that's carrying or bringing me a truth as well. Okay? To illustrate that point, I want to tell you the story of Moses, or remind you of the story of Moses and the people of Israel. You may already know the story. I'm just going to give you a quick reminder of the story. So the people in Israel, they were in slavery to Egypt. Okay? They were in bondage for 400 years. Then Moses gets sent by God to free his people. Okay? He goes, frees them. The moment they leave Egypt, and Moses is taking them on this journey, a journey towards freedom, I may add, long, arduous, uncertain. They didn't know where they were going. They began to complain. They complained. They were like, where are we going? What is this about? Some of them were so uncomfortable, they wanted to go back to Egypt, back to what they were doing. So I had to ask myself, you telling me that a journey towards freedom, with how uncertain it was, or it was going to be, is worse than 400 years of slavery? I don't know if that's true, but for some people it was. They wanted to go back. Okay? Now we can look at that story from those same two perspectives. You could say, well, that's a story of human suffering and struggle. Or you can say that that's a story of personal spiritual growth and transformation. Okay? You can look at it both. Let's say that it's the latter. That is a story of spiritual growth and transformation. In this story, Egypt represents the human ego. For those of you that may or may not know what the ego is, to me the ego is your avatar, your personality, the one you think you are. So in my case, my ego is Angel. Okay, so that's the name I was giving. All my thoughts, all my programs, the way I think, the way I am, that's my avatar. Okay. Now the ego is the oldest slave master in history, and it's a poor master at that. The ego is a great servant, but it's a very, very poor master. Okay? Now what does that mean? That any human aspect that controls you, that enslaves you, and prevents you from being who you want to be and who you are, is our personal Egypt. Is what's keeping us on bondage. Okay? Now, that's Egypt. Now, as we go through life, okay, and we look at ourselves, when we're going through, the journey gets challenging, the journey gets uncertain, the journey gets uncomfortable, we want to do the same thing. We want to go back. We go back to our personal Egypt. We go back to what we know. Why? Because it was comfortable. It was safe. Even if it hurt. Even if it wasn't healthy for you. Because at least you knew. There was certainty there. This is what I know. This is my bubble. This is my box. This is what I know. I'm safe here. Even if it's not good for me. Because I'd rather know than not know what's ahead. This is too uncertain. This is too risky. Okay? Why don't we go back to that? Again, because it's safe, because it's comfortable. And that also goes back to the duality, the two perspectives, okay? Because a part of us is always creating walls and barriers of safety and comfort. And there's another part of us that wants to obliterate those walls, that wants to be free. But who do we listen to, right? Which perspective do we go with? Okay? Do we go with the first one, that I'm a human being, having a temporary, that I'm looking for moments of spirituality, that I'm looking to connect, or that I'm a spiritual being, having a temporary human experience? Okay? Now, when we talk about that, okay, every physical experience, every possible conflict, every possible pain that you're in, every possible uncomfortable situation, like I said earlier, in your physical experience, it's a message. Okay? It's a message that's bringing you truth. It's a message that's providing you the opportunity to free yourself. Okay? That is providing you the opportunity for transformation and liberation to occur. Okay? But we end up looking at life focusing only in the first perspective. That this human experience that I'm having is the only truth. The only truth. It is true. It's happening. It really is happening to you. And yes, there's pain. And yes, it sucks. But it's not the only truth. So if you stay there, you're going to struggle. It's going to be conflict. You're not going to move. You're not going to be free. You're going to be like I think Luis was saying that you could use it as an excuse, but it's not. You could also use it to inspire you and to move you forward, right? Or you can say, what is this trying to teach me? What is this experience trying to show me about me that I didn't know before? How is this experience trying to help me be better? A lot of us have the belief that everything happens for a reason. Depending on your faith, whether you believe in God, whether you're a Christian, a Catholic, Muslim, Buddhist, Hindu, whatever you may be, you may say, well, whatever God is for you, if God is for you, what could be against you? If God is everywhere and God is everything, if God is for you, what could be against you? Right? There's also the belief that God only sends your way whatever experience is going to be the most beneficial for your growth. Right? Some of us have those beliefs. But when life comes at us, at that moment of conflict, at that moment of challenge and uncertainty, we don't trust it. We really don't trust it. We doubt. Because we believe only that this is the truth, my life sucks. This is the only truth. Instead of saying, wait, there's a bigger truth here. There's a bigger story here. How is this trying to help me? How is this trying to make me a better me? How is this trying to grow me? Okay, I always tell my clients and the patients that I see, use your shit to fertilize your growth. I mean, I'm serious. I mean, what's fertilizer? It's poop. Right? Now, we can leave it there and it'll stink. We can look at it like, look how ugly that is. It stinks. Or we can use it to fertilize our growth. Because that's what that experience is trying to help you. Now, you can say, well, that's uncomfortable, that's uncertain, I don't like that, I don't have a good relationship with uncertainty. I need control, I need to know, I gotta plan, I gotta know. Okay? Well, if you're not willing to do it yourself, if you're not willing to go there and ask those questions to get yourself to that place where you can say, how is this trying to make me better? Life is going to put you there. If there's something there for you that needs to change for the better, because change is always for the better, even though the circumstances don't look it, life is going to put you there. Life is going to put you in those difficult situations that are providing you with the opportunity to be more, to change, to be greater, to grow. And I gotta tell you, honestly, for me, those difficult moments in life were as important, if not more important in my life, simply because of the impact and the vital role that it played in my growth, in being here where I am today sharing this stuff with you. Okay? They really were. Because those moments, they bring with it a transformative quality. It's there. But we're not taught that. They don't teach us that. Mom didn't teach me this. Okay? Mom taught me to react. Just lead by example. Okay? They taught me to, when things happen, you run away, or maybe you, I don't know, you just cry. I don't know. But those moments have a transformative quality there. So when life comes, and it sucks, we don't know what to do with it. Other than, life sucks, I'm in pain, I'm suffering. We're not taught to find the honey. There's a monk that I listen to on YouTube. He's the head of the Australian Buddhist monastery. And he has a very awesome YouTube channel. Awesome YouTube channel. He talks for like hour long. And he thinks he's really funny, but he's not. But sometimes he's funny. But he's kind of hopey. He says, hey, don't be sad. Be hopey. Be hopey? Like happy? These are the jokes he says, so he thinks he's funny. You know? It's not my joke. But anyway, he says this story, and it's quite long, the story, so I'm just going to give you the punchline. There's always honey in every situation. And our job is to find the honey in life, in every situation. Now, I would say that I love honey. I don't know about you, but most people would like honey because it's sweet, it tastes good, it helps you with the local allergies. So honey's good, right? Generally speaking, honey's good, right? Okay. Now, if I bring you honey in the teddy bear jar, you know it's honey, right? Yes? Yeah. Or in a glass jar, that's honey. Give me a spoonful. I'm gonna eat it. Now, what if I bring you honey in a rusted can full of holes? Are you gonna wanna look in there? Yeah. It's ugly. It's got holes. It's rust. It doesn't even have a label. You probably kick that can and like, get out of here. Well, that's the circumstances. The way it looks. Looks ugly, not pleasing, not the way you want it to come for sure. But there's honey in there. And because you're focusing on the circumstances and the way it looks, you're only focusing on the first perspective, the physical appearance of it, then I'm not going to go in there. I'm not going to find the honey. I'm not going to find the value there that's going to grow me. There's always honey in every situation. And when we look back, it's real easy to look back and say, 10 years ago I was in that moment of pain and suffering. And then hindsight 2020, it improved my life. Would you say that? That something painful happened to you, it improved your life? Yeah. And we could look back and say, yeah, look at that. You can connect the dots looking back, and it's real easy to do that. But I say that if the dots connect looking back, then the dots are already connected as you look forward. The question is, can you trust that? Can you trust it? Can you have faith that this dot that I'm on right now, as ugly as it seems, as painful as it is going to improve my life? It's going to take me to my next dot for the better. Can you trust that? That's why I say half our problem is in our faith. And I'm not talking about religious faith. Because if you look at the definition of faith in the dictionary, or now we have Google, like what he's saying, you can just go to Google. Type in faith. And you'll see that it says complete trust, beyond doubt. Simple trust. So a lot of the times we don't trust. We don't trust. We have the belief or the concept that everything happens for a reason, that God is for me, so what could be against me? Right? But we don't trust it. We don't trust that when life comes and it hurts, that it's actually helping me. And I gotta tell you, I wouldn't be standing here today if it wasn't for one of those blows that knocks you down and it flips your world upside down. And 5 years ago, what happened to me, men go and get guns and kill their wives and the other guy. You see it on movies, you see it on the news all the time. I have a family member that did the same thing in Florida. Killed his wife for the same reason. So sure, I could say, wow, look what happened to you, that's sad, that's horrible. That's so bad that happened to you. You must have been in a lot of pain. Yes, I was in a lot of pain. But I asked myself a question. How does this help? Well, number one, the first question I asked myself, after I went through all the stages of grief, right? Because it is a loss. Whether you lose someone physically because they leave your life or they die, it's still a loss. The pain associated with that loss is the same. So you're still in grief, you're still grieving. I said, wow, I'm lost. Who am I? And the reason I asked myself that is because I didn't realize how much of my sense of self was tied to the life that I had with her. Okay? And what I realized is that your sense of self could never come from anything outside of you. Your children, your job, your cars, your stuff, your wife, anything. Because those things leave. Those things are temporary. And the moment those things leave, at the sight of them leaving, guess who ends up lost as well? You. So I was lost. I didn't know who I was. And then I had to ask myself, what's my part in all this? What's my responsibility here? I had to own my shit. I had to own it. I said, what is my part? What is my responsibility in the story here? Okay? Because when I own my stuff, and I'm willing to face myself, all the good, all the bad, all the everything, me, myself, and I, all of me, then I can understand it. I can understand why something happened to me and how it's trying to help me, how it's trying to make me better. Before you own it, before you're in responsibility, by the way, responsibility, it's our ability to respond to life. Respondability. Okay? It's not about fault. It's not about, okay, well, this is my fault, this is her fault. It's not about that. It's not about blaming, which is what we tend to do. Something happens to me, it's somebody's fault. This is not mine. Well, you did this to me, or you did that to me. Well, if you're going to blame other people for all the pain and suffering in your life, then you might as well give them credit for all the good in your life. Because clearly you had nothing to do with that either. You can't have one without the other. So if you have the power to change your life for the better, then you also have the power to ruin it. You do. So step into responsibility and ask, how did I get myself here? Because when you do that, when you ask that question, you begin to ask other questions, better questions, okay? And you can own it, you can see it. When you can see it, you can accept it. When you can accept something, like Jody was saying, she resisted that whole entire river ride. She resisted it. When you stop resisting, and you accept it, you can see it, then you can do something with it. Then you can change it. Then you can let it go. Then transformation happens. So the reason I call it freedom from yourself is because, like I said, my avatar, it's the only thing that limited me. Nothing else. The thoughts, the concepts, the blueprint that he was talking about. There's people that have great blueprints for money, love, career, relationships, friendships, that have great blueprints. But some of us have great blueprints in one and kind of sucky ones in other ones, right? And what's a blueprint? It's a concept, it's thoughts, it's an image, okay? So a lot of times what's getting in the way for you is just your concept. So something's changing, this is painful, I don't like it, it's uncertain, right? I want to run away from it, I want to resist it, something's changing. The reason it causes us pain and conflict is because the image that I have in my head of how this thing that is currently changing should be, it doesn't match. In my head, it should look completely different. It shouldn't be ending, or I should be more ahead, or it should be changing. So it doesn't match. So there's the conflict. It doesn't match. So the pain is directly tied to the concept or the belief that I have about this thing that is changing. So why do I have to change? Like Jody was saying, we start going externally and fixing our results. You don't fix results. You fix the cause of the results. You go inside, and that's you. You go in here, and you change the cause that created that result, that created the effect. Okay? I go in, and I change the thinking that created it. If I have some poor thoughts about something or limiting thoughts about something, make new ones. Okay? And then, you know how they say like positive affirmations? I used to think that there was magic to that. There's no magic to that. It's the repetition. It's like going to the gym to pick up a dumbbell because you want to improve your physique, and I do 1 rep and I expect to have a muscle. You're not going to get a muscle by doing 1 rep. See, I said the affirmation, it didn't work. Nothing changed. Well, nothing is going to change because the change happens because of the repetition, the discipline, the determination, that drive of doing that over and over again until you can get a better result. So everybody goes and works out their bodies, but nobody works out their mind. Okay, that's the hard one. Okay. Now, as you repeat it, this is an ugly metaphor, so I apologize. But you know how you have those meat grinders because you want to make like ground beef, and you put the meat in there and it comes out like a worm, like a bunch of worms, right? Well, let's say your limiting belief or your limiting thought is meat, and you want to maybe eat healthier, so you want to eat some fish. Well, I've already had meat in the chamber in there, right? Grinding out ground beef. Well, if I put a healthier meat, right? Fish maybe, or tofu, depending on who you are, and I keep grinding, I'm still going to have meat come out because I already have meat in the chamber. I have to wait, repetition, 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 until all of a sudden now I have fish coming out. I have a better result. But we can't give up. He was saying you can't give up. You got to keep going. You got to keep going. So the freedom from yourself, okay, that box, because oftentimes we talk about boxes that limit us, like think outside the box. The box is you. You're the box. The one limiting you is you. The concept you have of who you are. So if you want to grow, if you want to experience a different result in life, you have to be willing to let go of who you think you are. That it is possible that everything you've thought of yourself is not true. Yeah. I've been a dancer, like I said, I've been a dancer since I was 19 to 34. When I made the decision to quit dance, I was sick to my stomach, I wanted to throw up. Because I've always been known as Angel the Dancer. That's all I've known. So who's Angel on the other side of dance? Who's Angel without dance? If I didn't quit, I wouldn't have known. I wouldn't be standing here today. I wouldn't know that there's more to me than what I thought there was. And I'm not saying it's easy, I'm not saying it's scary, but thinking about it, people say that's easier said than done, Angel. Well, maybe. But I say it's easier to do it than to think about doing it. Thinking about doing it sounds hard. And that sounds hard. How do you know? Have you ever done it? No, but it sounds hard. Then you don't know. Thinking is what makes things hard. Okay? And what did Marley say? Emancipate yourself from mental slavery. None but yourself can free your mind. It's you. So part of what we're here to do, part of that second perspective that I was talking about, is to spiritually grow, to spiritually mature. Okay? We're here to connect with other people, and through the dynamics, relationships, friendships, boyfriends, husband, wife, through those boss, co-workers, through those dynamics with each other, that's how we do it. We help each other grow. She may say something to me that makes me really uncomfortable. And I can say, gosh, she's a B for saying that, you know? Or I can say, wow, why did that upset me? What is it about me that is getting upset at her? And that's what I'm going to experience growth. That's me willing to say, maybe I'm not what I thought I was. Okay? It's willing to go into that second perspective and say there's a bigger story here. Okay? Trusting that every experience that is coming at you is coming to help you be better. It's coming to help you grow. Okay? And I'll leave you with this affirmation, it was my favorite affirmation when I was going through my shit back then. Okay? And it says, everything happening in my life is happening No, it says, all is well in my life. All is well in my life. Everything happening is happening for my highest good. Out of this situation, only good will come. I am safe. All is well in my life. Everything happening in my life is happening for my highest good. Okay, the second perspective, my highest good. Out of this situation, only good will come. I am safe. You're always safe. If anybody has seen the movie Collateral Beauty, anybody seen it yet? Yeah? Beautiful, right? Amazing movie. She tells him, I don't know if you know the premise, but he writes a letter to death, he writes a letter to time, and he writes a letter to love. Love shows up, and he's kind of like, they're questioning him, and he's confronting him. You're going to cry, by the way. You're going to cry. And says, you betrayed me. He tells love that you betrayed me. He says, no, I didn't. Even in your pain, I was there loving you. You're safe. Even in your conflict, even in your struggles, you're safe. I promise you, you're safe. You just have to work on your trust. You have to change your perspective a little bit, that there's a bigger story here. This isn't the only truth. Okay? Thank you, guys.